My name is Lexi, 26 years old. The sun baked the Texas clay, stretching over acres of quiet pasture. I lived and worked at Serenity Ranch, a place for broken souls like mine. My trauma, PTSD, was a constant ghost, a weight from a past life overseas. My therapist was Clayton, a man with calm eyes and calloused hands who believed in the healing power of horses. His family had owned this land for generations. My horse was Lancelot, a massive black gelding with a history as shadowed as my own. He was a retired Army cavalry horse, gifted to the program after his service. Deep scars, both physical and mental, mapped his body and spirit. We were a pair of damaged creatures, finding a fragile, silent understanding in the dusty arena. Clayton was our anchor, his steady presence guiding us both toward a fragile light. Our sessions were a slow dance of trust. I would lean against Lancelot's powerful flank, feeling the tremor in his muscles mirror my own. Clayton would stand close, his voice a low murmur praising our progress. I started to feel something more for Clayton, a flicker of warmth that wasn't just gratitude. It was a dangerous feeling, one I hadn't dared entertain in years. But Lancelot did not share this budding connection. Whenever Clayton approached, the horse's ears would flatten, a deep, rumbling tension would roll through him. His eyes, usually distant, would fix on Clayton with a startling intelligence. I mistook it for fear. Another shared symptom of our trauma. Clayton dismissed it as residual weariness from the horse's harsh past. One afternoon, Clayton suggested a new exercise. He would lead Lancelot while I rode. The moment Clayton took the lead rope, Lancelot froze, not in fear, but in pure, unadulterated rage. The air left the arena. The horse's breath came in sharp, angry snorts. He became a statue of pent-up fury, every muscle coiled. Clayton, perplexed, took a step closer. A memory exploded in my mind, not mine, his. A searing flash of desert sand. The smell of gunpowder and blood. A betrayal. A man with Clayton's kind eyes and strong hands, turning. A gunshot. A promise of revenge whispered into a dark, dying ear. The memory wasn't a picture, it was a raw, emotional wound. Lancelot was not afraid of Clayton. He recognized him. Not Clayton as he was, but the soul inside him. The man who had murdered him in a past life on a forgotten battlefield. The horse was not an animal seeking comfort. He was a soldier who had waited, biding his time, for his betrayer to finally come within reach. The gentle therapist before us was just a vessel. Lancelot saw the traitor within. His loyalty to me was real, but his vengeance was absolute. He had not been healing with me. He had been recruiting. I was his witness. His purpose was never peace. Lancelot lunged, not to flee, to settle a score. The world narrowed to the whites of Lancelot's eyes, the sharp gleam of his teeth. Clayton stumbled backward, a gasp catching in his throat. There was no time for a scream. The horse was a black avalanche of muscle and intent, a force of nature honed by a singular, vengeful purpose. I moved without thought. My body, trained for crisis, reacted. I threw myself into the space between them, my hands not forming fists, but pressing flat against Lancelot's sweat-slick neck. It wasn't a push, it was an embrace, a final, desperate plea. A shudder ran through him, violent and immense. He halted, his hot breath blasting over my face. For a terrifying second, his gaze held mine. The intelligence there was ancient, furious. and profoundly sorrowful. It was the look of a soldier remembering his mission at the cost of his humanity. Then, the light in his eyes changed, the ancient fire dimmed, replaced by the simple, confused fear of an animal. The terrifying awareness vanished. He was just a horse again, spooked and trembling. He backed away, snorting, his hooves kicking up puffs of dust. Clayton was on the ground, pale and shaking, his composure shattered. He looked from the now placid Lancelot to me, his expression a mask of pure, uncomprehending terror. He hadn't seen a soldier. He'd seen a mad animal. I saw the truth settle over him, not of past lives, but of present danger. This place of healing was now a place of threat. His trust was broken. He scrambled to his feet, his eyes avoiding mine, and retreated. His footsteps hurried and unsteady. I was alone in the arena with Lancelot. He stood quietly, his head lowered, nuzzling my hand as if searching for a treat. The connection was gone. The ghost that had shared my trauma had exercised itself through violence and left. He was finally, truly, just a horse. And I was the sole keeper of a terrible secret. My healing was complete, but it had cost a man his peace and a spirit its revenge. The Texas sun fell cold as I led the empty shell of a soldier back to his stall. The dust settled in the arena, leaving only the sound of my own heart and Lancelot's soft, grazing breath. Clayton never returned to the ranch. The program was shut down. The story of his near mauling becoming a cautionary tale whispered in town. My healing felt like a hollow victory, a peace purchased with a price too high. I stayed on as Lancelot's sole caretaker. We would stand in the field together under the vast Texas sky, to silent creatures bound by a secret war that had ended without a true victor. He was just a horse, and I was the girl who loved a ghost that had finally, mercifully, let go. The silence between us was no longer filled with shared pain, but with a silent, perfect solitude.